Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good evening to you all. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Akriti Kapoor. I'm going to be a host for the event, and I'm also the head of marketing and communications at Wolken Software. Welcome to our second webinar in association with Pink Elephant. We are very excited to have you with us for this webinar today. We have some of the most outstanding leaders from the industry who will talk to us about the impact of IVA tools on ITSM practitioners today. To avoid any friction, I will just go ahead and introduce all our speakers right up front and then get straight into the webinar. So starting with George, who will be our first speaker for the day. George is the Executive Vice President at Pink Elephant. He's the co-author of ITIL 3 Continuous Service Improvement Core Volume. George has spent the last 3 decades helping individuals in 30 countries on 5 continents realize their full potential by simplifying complex topics and inspiring people to acquire new capabilities. In 2012, he was honored as the recipient of the Ron Mann's Lifetime Achievement Award from HDI for his contributions to the service and support industry. In addition to his commitment to improving the IT management industry, George's extensive experience and depth of knowledge, coupled with his irreverent blend of quick wit and high-tech humor, make him a much sought-after consultant, trainer, and speaker. Thank you so much for joining us today, George.
Thank you.
Yeah. So after George, we would have our very own head of products at Wolken Software, Mr. Preetham HR, for the next session. Preetham has 10 plus years of industry experience building enterprise class software products. He has worked with multiple startups and played a significant role in product strategy, design, development, and delivery of software products. Today, Preetham will talk about and introduce Wolken Software and showcase our ITSM tool that has been successfully implemented at various Fortune 500 companies. After which, we will have Mr. Raj Tumuluri. Raj is an inventor and one of the pioneers in the conversational AI industry with 25 plus years of experience in building context-aware, multimodal, and mobile technologies leveraging advanced AI. He founded Openstream.ai in 1997 and has served as the Chief Executive Officer since its inception. He is the principal architect and evangelist of Openstream's product vision and strategy. Raj has co-authored several international standards in multimodal, automotive, and speech technologies at the World Wide Web Consortium and co-authored several reference books published by Springer and ACM on the development, standardization, and commercialization of conversational and multimodal AI. So that was about our speakers for the day. And without any further ado, I would request George to please take over and we'll begin with our first session for the day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. So the discussion here is how are we supposed to support existing IT operations? In the end, what we started when we started IT, that the belief was that we could continually simplify, that we could just keep simplifying and simplify the product, simplify the solution, and that would also simplify the support mechanism. As we started down that path, things got a little more complex, but we kept a goal, I believe, in mind, that we could continually simplify the solution, that we believed that, first of all, that we had a right answer. We believed that. This was back in the 90s, et cetera, when I got started in all this. We believed there was a right answer and that we just didn't quite get there yet. We weren't quite there yet. And therefore, we believed that this could get easier and easier and easier and easier over time. there really wasn't a heavy recognition 30 years ago that the systems were going to get more and more and more complex. We were operating with what we saw. We saw systems where it was really just a lack of understanding from the user's standpoint. That was really the problem. It wasn't that the system was overly complex. It was the users just didn't understand, so they would make mistakes. And the goal was we always recognized the goal that anytime an end user had to call a service desk or anytime they ran up against some sort of issue, that we were going to have a productivity issue, that we consistently were going to lose time and lose productivity by having them call the service desk or basically fail and not know what to do, literally just in some cases just come to a screeching halt and just stop. And so we started inventing all sorts of stuff in the industry. We started, of course, adding to the help files. We started saying, okay, we are going to allow the individual to seek certain help within personalized help. They can enter something in, they can go to click a button, go here, enter something in, and get some sort of focused help. But we still really, in the end, we had a very low productivity, but very high human involvement in the real fix, which was, I'm going to talk to somebody at the service desk. In the end, that was what they kept opting for. Now, we came up with a million different ways to try and fix that. And you've heard of some of the things that were going to be the next solution. And there was no question that we were all going to embrace the Japanese manufacturing methods, and we were going to get lean. And as we started getting lean, that really did have a significant impact on the way we designed systems, the way we designed flow. All of that was great. But as we started simplifying and as we started getting leaner and leaner, the question kept coming up, well, what happens when they don't know? What happens when things break? What happens when this happens? And the belief was, as you got leaner and leaner, that we also weren't really going to change as frequently as we have been changing for the last 25 years or so. Ever since the onslaught of the World Wide Web, and ever since the fact that all freed up, and the belief that we could then deliver help and deliver assistance across the web, that was really the explosion that we really started to understand. So as that happened, simultaneously, what happened? Well, the web gave us a new way of delivering services. So suddenly we had a growing complexity. Instead of the simplification promised by Lean, while we had simplification on the manufacturing side, and we could certainly look at specific value streams on the IT side, the reality was the technology was moving at a pace which expanded all the different options beyond what normal humans would be able to do. Our goal was always the same: keep people working, keep people productive, keep them going. But we wanted to somehow create systems that fix themselves. I'm not sure we succeeded in that. But what we started to understand was that there was a way that as the IT environment grew more and more and more complex, it generated more and more issues and queries, and we had to scramble to keep up with those. If we were in any way going to automate knowledge, we had to scramble to keep up with them. And we also were living with the world where users, individual users of technology, could choose to seek different avenues of help. they chose to seek the ones that were the most useful. So if I could call a human being and have them personally talk to me, that was really great. But we didn't really have enough human beings to make that possible. So we started having to prioritize those issues, and we would push off people, et cetera. And then we tried to develop more and more and more ways that we could somehow automate those fixes, those requests for help. And also, as we moved forward, we found that the number of users who needed this help was expanding, constantly expanding, because more and more people were using the systems and more people were using the systems. But from the IT side, there were less and less human resources that really could be, if you will, put to the charge of making this happen. In the world of ITIL, which is where Pink Elephant basically had their claim to fame, IT Infrastructure Library, just plain old ITIL. Now we say, okay, so where's the service desk when we look at that? Well, the primary purpose of the service desk, it turns out, was data collection so that we could use that data to tweak both systems and make sure that they, quote, never broke, or that we could tweak the resolutions and tweak certain areas that would allow us to say, oh, if someone calls with that, there's an 80 or 90% chance that really it's this issue. So we started getting very sophisticated. We wanted them to call a single place so that we could collect this data, so we could develop those kinds of responses. We wanted them, and that single point of contact became a very important element, because that allowed us not just to gain knowledge and gain a knowledge about what was going wrong that we could then start to fix and start to automate the fix, but it also gave them a sense that there was a place that would welcome their call, that would welcome them contacting us. Well, and of course, the ultimate luxury was one person calling and talking to one other person. Once again, that really didn't scale well in the end. That was kind of the backup. Is there a way we could give them? Couldn't we give them a nice help file? Wouldn't that work? Yes, somewhat. Couldn't we give them another automated way to go into and look up a given question? Some of that worked as well. But what we ended up saying was, what is the real goal that we're trying to achieve? In the end, it hasn't changed. The goal really has not changed. Our goal is productivity of the end user community, period. We want them to be working. They want to be working. They don't want to have issues. And when they do have issues, they want them to be quickly resolved, and they want that to be a very, very short and slick process. Now, I think when I started in this, and as you can see, I'm not a young person. I am definitely the oldest person on this call. Yes, Raj, I'm even older than you. I think we've changed the goal of the service desk, because I think when I started, and this sounds so naive looking at it in 2022, I think I believed that we could solve all these issues and we would never have any. I believed that. Silly now, seems like silly, but I believed it. And I thought that maybe it was mostly technology that needed to be mature, and the users needed to be basically helped along so that, and then, of course, we wanted to freeze. If we just froze progress, we could catch up. If we just stopped advancing things, we could all catch up. We could fix it. Everything would be rock solid. We wouldn't have any issues. Nobody would have any problems. Well, and I actually believed that for 5 minutes, and then realized that was never going to happen. We were never going to freeze technology. So we started getting more and more realistic about what the goals were at the service desk. And the goals are simply productivity. Whatever happens, we basically are focused 100% on the productivity of the end users, getting them back to work. That's all they really wanted to do anyway. And I see that over the years as really a maturity of our goals, because I truly did believe at one naive moment in time that we could wipe out all the errors and there wouldn't be any errors anymore. There wouldn't be any issues. There wouldn't be any phone calls to the service desk. We'd put the service desk out of business. I actually believed that for a minute. And then I realized that, no, that's not going to work, because we're going to continue to change the software. We're continuing to change the architecture. We're continuing to change every system. So therefore, we're never really going to reach that level of maturity. What we need to reach is a level of maturity on how we deal with it. The systems themselves will get more and more mature. They'll get better and better, but they'll also keep changing and they'll keep growing. And there'll always be something going wrong or something that we want to add in, some sort of enhancement. And that's going to cause changes, and that's going to cause issues. Normal stuff. So now we started creating intelligent virtual assistants. Now, this was where we would type in some sort of query. We would type in a question and a virtual assistant would give us an answer. And then we, user, were expected to act on that answer. Okay. And that kind of worked for a while, and we started recognizing that there was greater and greater usage for that. The more, and as people got more comfortable with interacting with systems as opposed to interacting with people, that made a difference as well. So now we start to move to the next concept, which is voice recognition. Can I just talk to these machines? Can I talk to a virtual assistant? And would that increase productivity? Probably, because it would allow me to do natural language questions and basically receive natural language answers as well as on-screen answers to the question. Would I be able to retrieve knowledge faster by simply asking a verbal question? Yes. Would I be able to employ concepts around knowledge-centered support? Yes. Would the system be able to suggest scripts which already were in the system? Yeah. So could I run them right there, or could I ask if you would like me to run them? Sure. Because we've all heard the ideas and the concepts around AI and around artificial intelligence, and we've all thought, boy, that seems to be far away, or it seems to be very distant, something that we understand the end result. We just don't know how to get there. And what I believe and what I've seen and what you're going to see today, I believe is some of the first steps to getting to true AI. So the concepts that you're going to see today, which are really exciting for me to see, because I've been doing service desk it's coming on to 40 years now, some sort of service desk consulting for 40 years. These are some very exciting concepts that we're going to see today that I believe are laying the groundwork for the future of what a service desk or service in general is going to be from an end user standpoint. So I'm going to turn this over to Preetham, I guess, is next up.
Yep.
Yes, George. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. Over to you, Preetham, for the next session, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to take you through the Wolken ITSM solution. Basically, I'll talk more about the end users. What are the actions? What are the kind of actions they can perform from an incident management perspective, or whether they're requesting for a service, or how do they approve, how do they track their tickets, and etc. And also I'll pass it on to Raj after this, where he's going to talk about how do we do the same thing with a virtual assistant, right? And Wolken ITSM solution has all the modules covered, say from incident management, service request management, change, problem, release, outage, and we also have CMDB module where you can actually maintain all your assets or CIs, and you can also discover them from our auto discovery tool and insert it to our database. And from an end user perspective, uh, we also have multiple channels. We call it omni-channel, and you can do multiple channel integration, whether you want to do an integration from your monitoring tool, or you want to do an integration with your email client, or any of the third-party applications can be integrated and create and track incidents via APIs as well. So the screen I'm showing right now is the home screen of an end user, where end user will be able to look at all the open tickets. When I say tickets, it can be an incident or a service request, which is created by the end user. Will be able to track from the home screen and look at all open tickets. And then we also have extensive knowledge base module where the ITSM admin can actually create all SOPs and articles and store it in our knowledge base system. And the end user tries to create an incident, and we also have a mechanism where we suggest certain articles automatically so that it can help the end users to go through the SOPs about how do we do it and stuff like that. And the end users can also mark certain articles as favorite articles, which will notify them in the home screen. Then we also have current status of all the business services displayed in the system. Then the surveys and the CIs depending on that particular user. So then again, if I want to access any of the knowledge base, I just have to go in and type in the keywords, and it starts giving you the results from our knowledge base. And how do I create an incident from an end user perspective? I can go to create incident, and as in when I start typing in my subject line, system automatically gives you the suggested articles so that end users can look at that article and then use it. Otherwise, the end user can also go ahead and create an incident. This, why I'm showing this particular use case, because we're also going to show you the exact use case how we are going to handle with a virtual assistant as well. And end user also get the capability of tracking all the incidents and service requests from the end user portal. They can do all slice and dice with all the attributes available of the ticket. They can actually build all complex conditions. That can be and condition, or it can be changed to or, and add n number of filters to filter the data and look at it. And they can click on the incident to just go into the details of an incident and track the incident details as well. And end users can also add watchers to an incident, add a note, add an attachment, which will help an agent to resolve that incident on time. And we also have an extensive SLA module where the ITSM admin actually can go ahead and configure the SLA based on certain attributes of an incident. It can be priority, it can be business service, it can be any other attribute of the incident. The end user can also go ahead and approve the service request or a change or a problem tickets from the end user portal itself. And we have system status, which will give you the entire system status of all business services available in the system. And they can go ahead and click on any of the system to look at the current status of the system for last 90 days. And if there are outages, if there are service degradations for a particular business service, that is also visible from this portal. So in this way, end users are notified and proactively can monitor any of the business services which can impact the systems there. So this is about end user portal. I'll quickly go to an agent portal where how exactly an agent can track these incidents which are created from end user portal or any other tool for that matter. So, so this is a home screen of an agent where the agents can build all filtering, and they can build their own views to get the data. and track the relevant teams or relevant priority tickets or relevant kind of a ticket by filtering them from the dynamic views. And they can click on any incident to look at the details of an incident. As I was mentioning, we have an extensive SLA module where the SLA will be automatically calculated from the system. And also the notifications, definitely system takes care of triggering notifications to the respective people, whether it's a watcher or a creator or an assignee. System takes care of notifying the respective individuals via multiple channel. It can be email, SMS, Slack, or WhatsApp, or any other channel for that matter. And we also have major incident management, where if you think that there are certain incidents which needs to be triggered as a major incident management, we have a separate workflow defined for a major incident management as well. And if a manager wants to track or get real-time insights about any of this data coming in, so managers also has the real-time dashboard where the managers can track the tickets in different status, different categories, different priorities. And also they can configure these dashboards when we are implementing the system. It can also give you the data from the team perspective, and all attributes of the tickets can be used to create these dashboards, and it can be with different timelines as well. So this is about generally about the incident, how agent looks at it and how manager tracks it. So now I'll pass it on to Raj, where we will see the exciting part, where how do we use virtual assistant to do the exactly same thing what I just showcased you from the end user perspective. So over to you, Raj.
Thank you. Thanks, Preetham. We're happy to be partnering with Wolken. As you have seen, they have some of the richest features in the ITSM software world. And as OpenStream, I just don't want to belabor the points that are there. We are in the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, the sole visionary for conversational AI systems in the 2022. And more importantly, what we specialize in is called multimodal interaction. That is not just speech only, speech, type, text, and facial recognition, and many other things. As you have seen with Wolken, the whole thing is integrated with that. And you have the enterprise virtual assistant here as part of it. And you could, select the language.
Welcome to the Wolken Assistant. How can I help you?
Like George alluded to at the beginning of the call, basically you are trying to give a face, or not take out the human touch or the human interaction experience in the whole customer support. So we're trying to provide that through a virtual assistant that is an embodied virtual assistant that can actually speak and empathize with you and then provide you answers. There are a lot of things that we could be showing you, but I'll just in the given time I'll try to see what I can type. So for example, if the user wants to say that I want to, how can I get accessories for my MacBook? Oh, God.
MacBook accessories may be procured via iProcurement or ERP. For information on raising a PO, you may refer to the iProcurement user guide on the procurement portal.
It can be anything. So the whole idea that I wanted to show here is not about how it is just getting you the answer. It's not a canned answer, because as Preetham was saying, it is from the knowledge bases and knowledge base articles that you already have. And here is a brief description on how that is achieved. So if you look at it, the way we automate this process is that you can have all types of knowledge bases, logs, videos, emails, transcripts, anything that you have, and ingest that into the knowledge builder which will automatically classify those documents and extract the entities and relationships and constructs a knowledge graph and does a domain ontology mapping based on the domain that you are in. And there is whole context management and then interaction management and as part of the solution. So what this does for you is that the whole, because your ability to answer a question is directly proportional to what you know, right? So it's not about providing a canned answer. So you should be able to figure out what the user asked, irrespective of how they frame their question, and then provide an answer, and then map that to whatever is the knowledge base article or anything else that you have, and then show from there. So let me move back to the demo. So let's say I want to ask a different question. So let's take something else. So how do I set up my new MacBook Pro, which is a long answer. So I would not belabor that. I cannot verify the printer on the network. What should I do? This is like a colloquial way of asking this question, right? This is how end users typically ask.
Click Cancel to return to the App Printer dialog. Re-enter the printer hostname using the fully qualified domain name. Examples: printer_name.wolken.net. Note: plotter machines are not supported by GTO. Find more information here.
Okay, so let's say that I'm not happy with this. I can always open a ticket.
Do you want to raise a ticket?
And I can open a ticket here. I say yes.
I am sorry, I couldn't get the right answer for you. But I have now opened ticket 120-2717 for you, so our expert team can help further.
So as you can see from the emotions of the avatar itself, it's able to exhibit human emotions and then present to the user. So there's some level of the nonverbal behavior is the one that establishes the connection with the user, so that they don't feel that you're giving a monotonous IVR type answers. And here, if you want to check the status and things like that, you can actually go to the corresponding ticket. Are you still able to see my browser screen?
Yes, Raj.
Yeah.
So I clicked on that, and as you can see, I just opened the ticket and it says that I cannot verify the printer on the network. What should I do? So this is how you can actually open the ticket right from the virtual assistant. And it doesn't matter what channel you come from. What we are showing there was basically a avatar and a desktop in the browser interface. But you could be coming from a telephone line, you could be coming from a social messenger, you could coming from any of those channels, and the interface remains the same for you. So you'd be able to open the ticket in Wolken software and then check the status on that one and go through the whole 9 yards. But the key thing here is ability to ingest knowledge into the system and then extracting the basically relationships and entities from the system, from the documents, and automating that process and constructing the knowledge graph and mapping the domain ontology to those things, and then taking the user's questions, interpreting the question in the context of what the user is trying to ask, and then providing an answer that is appropriate for it. So this is not people have done Elasticsearch and other things, but this is not Elasticsearch. This is knowledge-based search. It's a semantic search based on the answers, the documents that we have. We have actually patented technology in this one to basically give you the related articles, related news, and matching your query to the most appropriate piece of text in the whole document. And those of you that are familiar with BERT and GPT and other things would probably know that how those searches work. Actually, we have benchmarked this against those things and found that this one gives you the right answer right at the top. Even if you have n best answers, it picks up the best one, the most relevant to your question, irrespective of how you frame your question. And you could also do, by the way, I've not probably shown you this one, but let's say you want to switch the language, and it's just as easy for you to switch the language since Akriti is in Mexico right now. Let's try Spanish. Are you able to see this?
Yep.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Bienvenido al asistente Wolken. ¿Cómo puedo ayudarte?
So the same thing, how do I set up my MacBook? Let's ask that question and see how it answers.
Los accesorios de MacBook se pueden adquirir a través de eProcurement/ERP. Para obtener información sobre la creación de un PO, puede consultar la guía de usuario de eProcurement Procurement Portal.
Okay, you get the picture. So you can actually support some 100+ languages as part of this. We support 100+ languages and variants of Spanish, variants of French, variants of Arabic, and variants of many languages. And the key thing here is that the knowledge itself, which is not going to change, because you're asking in a different language. So you don't have to redevelop for each language. So the knowledge articles and everything else could be still in English. And then we do the dynamic translation of the responses, as well as provide mapping to the end user's questions in Spanish to English, or in Arabic to English, and things like that, so that the backend system can still be one language, and then you don't have to recreate the knowledge in each of the target languages. So that is the real key to achieving some kind of greatest customer CSAT measures and things like that. So let me actually show you what we are able to achieve with this. So this is just how the deployment architecture looks like. You have the user interaction that can happen from any of the social messengers, or even PSTN line, or any of those things. You start with the training, which is based on your knowledge bases and things like that, and you extract the knowledge, construct your FAQs and everything else. And then your interaction manager, this can be deployed in any of the cloud environments or on-premise, as the case may be. So it co-locates with the Wolken software, wherever that is. And then provides you a whole set of features around it. And then it also has the agent transfer. So you can actually do the transfer to the agent desktop. In this case, I see a customer service representative having that one. And then we provide you the engagement metrics on what the users are asking, and how many of them are answered by the bot or virtual assistant, and how many could not be answered, and what are the missed intents, if you will. And then you can actually see those things and kind of change that stuff. And then it also provides for administration, as to, because you can simultaneously have several versions of the virtual assistants available, so that if you have implemented new features, you can still use the same knowledge bases, same stuff, but with a different virtual assistant version. This is basically redacted screen. Preetham touched upon agent desktop. So it actually provides you an agent assist. That means the job of the virtual assistant doesn't stop with providing an answer to the question, but in case it is not able to provide an answer and you choose to transfer to a human agent, then the human agent can, or when is interacting with you, the system can still listen in and then provide you the answers, suggestions, say to the agent in this case, saying that these are the things that they're asking, and this is what could be the response. For example, you could be saying, I did file that report last month, and I got a trouble ticket number this. And then as you are saying that, the guy doesn't have to, this customer service representative doesn't have to go through the system again and find out what the ticket number is and details. As you are speaking, actually, the details of that appear on the pop-up window on the side, so that it saves you time. And it's all about, as George alluded to, it's about increasing the productivity of the end user. So we don't ask them repeat questions and then repeating the whole history and everything else every time. So this has resulted in about 80% success rate in answering customers' questions. And about NPS ranges are about 56 to 62 across implementation. And the most important thing for me is the 75% deflection. What this means is that if your call center or somebody else is answering the questions 75% of the time before, 100% of the time before, with the employment of this self-service technology from Wolken, they are able to find their answers, relevant answers, and within 75% of the cases at the very minimum. It will be more than that, but it is also 75% deflection is what we are able to achieve. And 26% increase in the user engagement, because they feel satisfied that, they are getting the right answers in time and right help in time, without really driving them through, like what George said, let us send them an FAQ document and let them sift through that to find out maybe 23rd question is the one that I'm asking. And that's probably what is relevant for me. And that's not really going to help an end user, because you have to give a pointed answer to a question. And it's not a mere question of, okay, yeah, the dictionary has the words and their meanings, go look up. And that's not really an answer. And providing a link to Webster dictionary is not an answer. So you have to really sift through that and then give you contextual help based on what the person is asking and where that is used, and understand what they meant by that, and then provide the relevant answer. So this is what we are able to achieve with our clients. With that, I think I would stop and pause for any questions.
Thank you so much, Raj. This was brilliant. I'm sure not many people would have seen something like that before. So yeah, great. I think we have a few questions in the Q&A tab. So Raj, George, or Preetham, relevant questions, you could please pick that and answer.
I have a question for Raj.
Sure, go ahead. Your question.
Now that I've seen it, this is great. It's fabulous. Now the question is, can we go the next step? Can some of those recommendations that come from the system actually be scripts where I can click on and actually basically take an action? Right.
Absolutely.
So that I could, so I asked
you
the
actually
question.
saw that. You actually saw that there when it opened the ticket and I clicked on the ticket. When you clicked on the ticket, it ran a script and retrieved the information for you as to what the ticket details are. Yeah.
See, you have it so slick, I didn't even notice.
Okay.
But so that means that if the response could also then engender an action, right? So that I could literally, as the person asking the question, once I got 90% of the time, this is the answer, click here and it executes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
For example, change password. All those things are common examples of that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
So, Preetham, you want to pick up some questions, or you want me to pick up the questions?
Yeah. So maybe first question you can take. So I'll take the second one.
The question is, the AI assistant would be a great help with service desk tickets. How would you feel about the pace of artificial intelligence development for the service desk so far? Well, the biggest challenge in this one is in issue similarity, identifying the issue similarity, because people can describe the same event in different ways using the same natural language. So what happens is that you have in your knowledge repository, you have 1,500 cases recorded as though they are all distinct. But when you look at it, one guy says, I'm not able to get into the system. Another guy says, my password is not working. I forgot my password. These are all different things. But I could not get into the system is typically treated as a different case, right? So that is also a password thing. So how do you establish that kind of an issue similarity when you have natural language descriptions of the problem? Because no two humans understand the same thing in the same way when you hear it. So that is still a challenge. So in fact, the recent advancements in the AI are now able to do that kind of detection. And that is why we are able to reduce the number of knowledge base articles based on the things that you have and map them all to the myriad of questions that ways in which you can ask the same question. So that issue similarity is the one that is the latest and greatest advancement in the AI. I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Raj. So second, Abhishek, how does this tool help improve the efficiency of our businesses? I think most of the slides from Raj was about percentages and the number of things it will improve, right? So for example, from the end user perspective, the number of queries which the virtual assistant will answer will only cut down your number of agents who will need to work on those tickets. So that's one of the major advantages. And from the efficiency perspective as well, from an agent perspective, the virtual assistant will also give them suggestions about what kind of response it should send out to their customers, or what kind of articles they should refer before they respond to their customers. So those kind of suggestions from the virtual assistant will definitely improve the overall business efficiency, and also cutting down with the number of tickets coming in for the live agents. Again, that is something which will allow the agents to handle the handful number of tickets with the efficient timelines.
Excellent. Well,
And I
thank you.
think I think we need to recognize one other thing, and I'm speaking just as a observer, really. I don't understand the technology very well, just the results. I think we need to recognize just how much better this will get over time, because it feeds into itself. It starts off at a specific level, but then it's just going to get better because we learn, we look at it, we analyze it, then we make the changes. It just gets better. It learns, and it's human beings are helping. It's helping, it's learning itself, so that the stats just keep going up and up. The times keep shrinking and getting shorter and shorter.
Absolutely.
Over
John.
time,
That's
it just gets better.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, that's the reinforcement learning, as you rightly said. When you start off, and I think that's probably a nice segue to the next question also. How long does it take to develop the bot EVA? First of all, we consider a bot to be a robot. So something that doesn't understand you. So therefore, we choose the word virtual assistant. So that means it's somebody that's trying to help you. So the typical development or deployment of this would not take more than 8 to 10 weeks. But as George said, as you start deploying this, it actually gets better and better. What we found is that after a few months of use, the percentages keep going up, and it kind of becomes better and better. So that's the answer. And the next question is also about, can the AI be used outside of ITSM? Yeah, it doesn't matter what knowledge base it is. It could be a knowledge base about education. It could be knowledge base about IT support. It could be knowledge base about anything else, insurance and other stuff. And basically, whether any large enterprises are using, yes, Fortune 100 customers are using these things today, from large insurance companies to financial services companies to, I think probably Preetham will talk about many other large customers and that are using this worldwide.
Yeah, coming back to one of the questions, can this AI based be used outside ITSM? Yes. We have two solutions, customer service as well as ITSM, and Openstream is integrated to both these solutions. So ITSM will take care of more internal IT operations queries, and customer services, again, as Raj mentioned, we can ingest the customer service knowledge-based data, and the bot can work exactly like how we showed in the demo.
I totally understand the fact that this is going to get better over time. The sheer technology will get better. The way you interpret the knowledge will get better. The way you synthesize that, like you were talking about, all the different ways of saying the same thing, that's all going to get better over time, so that we're going to, up the percentage of recognizing the question and taking it to the right place. And then the next step to me is always action. Okay, you've answered my question. Now, fix it.
Yeah.
Fix it. Go do it. You think, okay, great. Now just go ahead and do it. Right. That I think is the next. I mean, I see it as being there. I don't. You comment on that, please.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And that also probably goes to the next question. We saw the benefits of the tool, but could there be disadvantages of this type of assistant also? So that is one of the disadvantages with embodied virtual assistant, is that people may start thinking that, oh, okay, I can fix everything. So, it's one thing to provide the answers and providing the scripts necessary to help people serve themselves to fix their problems. But it's another thing, if you say that, my refund has not come, and the virtual assistant cannot be mailing a check for you or transferring the money. So those are things that it can't do. That's something that one must recognize, right? So at the end of the day, the best thing that this can do is mimic the human agent's behavior in a much faster and consistent way, without the fatigue that sets in as you start answering the customer questions, for 8 hours in a day. So that's the best that we can expect. And then the retrieval of knowledge automatically from on the sidebar with the agent assist is another great feature. But beyond that, in terms of actually doing magic for you, it's not superhuman. Yes, no, it cannot.
Thanks, Raj, George, and Preetham. I think we have around 5 minutes remaining. So I would now request George to just do a quick recap and some highlights of what we discussed today before we could end the session.
And I don't need to be by myself doing this, because that was really quite impressive. I've been doing this type of thing for literally decades, and I've seen us dabble with knowledge here and there, and dabble with users, and users picking up the knowledge or tracking the knowledge, etc. This to me is exciting. It's exciting because I think really it leads to where I think we've always needed to go. It doesn't take the human being out. It leaves the human being into it. We've always wanted the users to can you just go over here and just read this and then you'll be fine? And why don't you just go over, don't call us, right? Because really that's a very simple thing. But it turns, in the end, that's not what happened. In the end, people wanted some kind of personal attention, some kind of individual focus on what it was, the ability to just ask the question that they wanted to ask, not necessarily phrase it our way, but rather just ask some normal human question. And this is able to interpret that, able to extrapolate that, and come up with specific answers that allow me to move forward and allow me to get back to productivity, which is, as an end user, really all I wanted to do in the beginning. It's why I called. I wanted to be productive. I had to stop being productive because something went wrong, or I didn't understand something, or something happened on my screen that I don't get. So all I've ever wanted as an end user was to just keep working. So I believe that this is an approach which is going to allow us to just keep growing, keep developing, and to get faster and faster and better and better.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, George. Raj, Preetham, any final thoughts, anything that you want to say before we wrap up?
Preetham should have the last word.
So I think this is very exciting, and we have done the end user integration now, and we'll continue working with Openstream and continue improving this integration and add in more and more features. I think it will be and we'll reach a stage where we'll show more and more advantage for both agents as well as end users in terms of business efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
Excellent. Akriti, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much once again, George, Raj, and Preetham. This is absolutely exciting, new thing that a lot of people might not have heard of. So it was great to impart your knowledge on this with our audience today. And I'm sure they would also appreciate that very much. This was one of a kind. So once again, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you to all our audience who joined us today. And we will be back with other webinars soon. So stay tuned to that. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us today.